Class 1.2. Welcome back, friend. In this video, I want to share with you a little about me and my story. And I have one driving goal in sharing this with you, which is to encourage you. I have some impressive accomplishments, but I also have some impressive failures, all of which are a part of how I've made it to where I am today. My story has struggle in it, but it also has triumphs and victory. And my hope is that it will all encourage the heck out of you, that if I can do it, so can you. I have worked a lot of different jobs in my life as an employee in all of them, working for someone else. Notice the word for. I didn't work for myself. I worked for someone else. My time, my energy, my skills, my talents, my labor, my abilities, my tiredness, my stress, my worry, my sacrifice were all given to benefit and profit someone else. I'm not saying that it is wrong or it's bad. I was employed, I was making money, and I was able to support myself and my family, sort of. But after laboring like this for 20-something years and always just scraping by, I got sick of it. I grew to hate my job that I had been at for 5 years, where I was the general manager of a law firm or a law office in Southern California, and I made the owner a lot of money every month. He lived in a nice big house, drove a fancy Mercedes, and he took a lot of month-long vacations around the world while I ran his company back at home and made him money. Yet he didn't pay me enough to even cover my basic living expenses, and I became angry, even bitter. And one day I quit, and I've never gone back to a 9-to-5 employee job since. But I need to back up and give you some context and to show you how I ended up at that job in the first place. So hang with me. It's all going to come together and make sense. After high school, I got a degree in graphic design, and I worked as a designer for a couple of years, but then I decided to become a pastor, and so I went to seminary and I got a degree in Christian ministry. I served as an associate pastor at 2 churches, and while doing that, I got another degree in philosophy. At 26, I got married, had 2 kids, I had a new house, 2 cars, and a dog. My pastor jobs didn't pay the bills by a long shot, so I worked regular jobs all through that time on top of serving as a pastor. I did sales, marketing, security, management, janitorial work, shuttle driver work, customer service, data entry, on and on. I was always good at every job I did, but they were just jobs, a means to cover my end. My passion, though, was teaching and writing, and I was good at those things. I always dreamed of becoming a published author. But the picture-perfect marriage that I had back then, it had cracks in the foundation. My wife worked and I worked, but she resented me that I couldn't make enough to keep her home with the kids. And she verbalized that to me often. She was skilled at throwing the verbal daggers right where they hurt. We always just seemed to scrape by, paycheck to paycheck, and our credit card debt seemed to grow, which was usually just to cover basic living expenses, but it, as you probably know, wears you down. I started drinking just socially and casually, but then secretly to escape my fear and depression and just the overwhelm of trying to live life in our modern world. Of course, drinking compounded our problems, and she eventually divorced me, not so much because of the drinking, because after all, she drank too, but because she said, quote, "I just want a husband who makes more money than you do." As a man, that was crushing. I was a hard worker, and after she did eventually quit her job, I often worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs at the same time just to keep us afloat. This was around 2008, and times were tough back then, and I didn't know how to make it better. I ended up losing everything. I lost my house, I lost 2 jobs, I lost most of our possessions, I lost friends, I lost church, I even had to rehome my beloved dog Samson. Thankfully, I didn't lose my kids, and the one thing I did semi-well was to still be their dad throughout all that. But I had to move back in with my own dad in the house that I grew up in. I was 32 years old. I was back in the room that I grew up in as a kid. I had little more than my car and a mattress on the floor. I had no job. I was deeply depressed. I was filled with fear, and I felt like the biggest failure in the world. And I had no self-worth. For several years, I drank every day to try to keep all of that away and feel some sort of happiness. Obviously, of course, it worked for a very short time, but ultimately it made my life even worse. And many times I can remember I just wanted to go to sleep and never wake up again. I was so depressed. Now, I'll spare you all the details, but I slowly put the pieces of life back together again. Actually, I wrote about this in my book, Epic Hope. But through my faith, through going to different support groups, through seeing a therapist and staying connected with friends and family, I got a new job, which was at that law office that I talked about earlier. And I quickly rose up the ranks until I hit the top of the company as the general manager. And then I met my new wife, Rebecca, the good wife, and I got remarried. It was an exciting time, and the future was bright and full of opportunity. I was 35 years old. She was 25 years old. But 7 months into our marriage, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 stomach cancer. And a month after that, Rebecca, at the age of 26, was diagnosed with stage 4 breast cancer. And she was predicted to have just months to live. Our new bright future, filled with excitement and opportunity, went totally black. Our world shattered and everything changed. For about a year, we were overwhelmed and lost. We got her admitted into the City of Hope Cancer Hospital in Los Angeles, and they beat back most of her cancer. Through our faith and our love, we learned how to crawl forward, then we learned to stand, and then finally to walk again. We learned how to find new hope and even joy through the trials. The cancer took my dad about a year later. Rebecca was doing well, but cancer had thrown a monkey wrench into life, obviously, and we faced many challenges. She had to stop working, and then we went down to my one income, which in Southern California doesn't go very far, or didn't go very far. During that time, I decided to write and publish my first book, which is titled, Help, Someone I Love Has Cancer, How You Can Really Make a Difference. I then wrote and published a second book for caregivers titled In Your Corner. And I was good at that. I was good at writing books, and they were well received by the world. My dad left my sister and I a small inheritance. Rebecca has a remarkable life story that is inspiring, and I used a portion of that inheritance to hire a filmmaker. And for 2 years, we worked on a documentary about her inspiring journey. The film is called A Brave Hope, and it's won a lot of awards and film festivals all over the country. You can actually watch it right now on Amazon Prime. It's on Tubi TV, and it's also on YouTube, or you can visit our site, abravehope.com. Now, while working on my third and fourth books, I got the idea to start our first business. This was my first business venture like this ever. It was during this time that I was really hating that law office job, the 9 to 6 job. And I was always thinking of side hustle ideas. And I dabbled in multi-level marketing gigs. I joined a real estate investment club, and I tested out other ideas when it hit me. Why don't I start a company doing what I'm already doing? And it's what I love doing, writing and publishing books and helping people do the same and helping people with cancer. So we formed our company, a DBA, and we called our new company Rebecca's Hope, which was aimed at helping people in the cancer journey to find courage and hope through that. By the time I published my fourth book, I had a new idea to create a full-on big online course to teach aspiring writers how to write, publish, and sell their first book. I spent hundreds of hours and thousands of dollars researching and buying cameras, lights, microphones, video editing software, web hosting solutions, and a lot more. I spent 9 solid months writing out the scripts for this new course, filming, editing, building the website, and the marketing that goes with it. I called it, and it's still out there, Newbie Book Writer, newbiebookrawriter.com. Frankly, it's one of the best courses on the subject I've ever seen, and it teaches anybody how to go from an idea in their head all the way to a professionally published book. All the people I followed online and learned from were making tons of money with their online businesses and their courses, and I assumed I would be no different with all of my new projects and my products and so forth. So I quit my job and we lived modestly off my inheritance while I labored day and night to turn my ideas into money-making machines. I worked from home and I grinded like a mother. I created YouTube videos. I ran paid Facebook ads, Amazon ads. I built sales funnels. I did live and pre-recorded webinars. I designed catchy lead magnets. I created compelling landing pages. I had automated email campaigns. I worked on my SEO and ... If most of that makes little sense to you, don't worry. I'm not going to go into any of that mumbo jumbo in this course. That's the good news. The good news is that you don't need any of those complex systems to build and start a successful local service business. Needless to say, I didn't find the success that I foresaw. I still will someday, but it didn't happen back then. Making a lot of money with online business, it's a tough gig. The competition is ubiquitous and the learning curve is steep. Not to mention that the time and the money, all of that takes. Now, here's the thing, I also had down times when I would get really discouraged and depressed, and then I would fall back on my old enemy, alcohol. I'd fall into days of long binges and I'd just wreck myself. Eventually, I'd pull myself out of it, sober up, and reconvince myself to keep going. I'm a fighter. I don't like giving up. I also really believed in my teachings and in my products. And so I just kept trying and trying and trying. But I would fall, I would get up, I would try, I'd fall. We had about a year's worth of living expenses left, and I didn't want to keep burning it through it. So I either had to go back and get a 9-to-5 job, or I had another crazy idea. See, Rebecca's mom lived in Oregon on 3 acres in the country, and I had a vision to buy a tiny house like those ones on TV and put it there. And that's what we did. I bought a brand new 400 square foot tiny house outright, and we put it in the beautiful countryside of Southern Oregon near a little town called Ashland. We had no rent or mortgage or very minimal bills. And my goal was to continue working on our online businesses until I hit pay dirt. In Oregon, I did a lot of door dashing and Instacart. We didn't need a lot of money, like I said, and I had to care for Rebecca a lot more after she had a brain surgery that created new problems for her. And DoorDash gave us the freedom to be my own boss and do what I wanted to do. All of those side gig apps, they're like learning to play a game, and I got really good at them. I even bought a little Toyota Celica as my dasher car. Like, I was a pro in my town. I averaged between $20 to $25 an hour, and Rebecca and our dogs could drive around with me. It worked well for the time, but eventually I started getting bored with it, and I wanted to do something bigger and better. I wanted to make more money. Plus, DoorDash as a company, they started imposing more and more restrictions on drivers, cutting their pay, and just really making it not worth the time or effort to even do that. My mind is always working and generating new ideas, and I'd been working on two different business ideas when I was toying with them, when one day I saw on Facebook an ad for an online course about how to start a handyman business. Now, I'm already pretty handy, and I had a lot of tools, and it seemed like an interesting possibility. So I paid the $27, watched all the class videos, and I loved it. It was nowhere near as detailed as the course here that I've created that I'm going to teach you, but it gave me enough tools to get started. And within 2 weeks, I came up with a company name, I designed the logo, I ordered business cards, I built a website, I got a separate business phone number, I ordered a polo shirt with my logo on it, and other stuff. And I started doing some guerrilla outreach and marketing. I think I probably only spent about $200 on all of it. I wasn't concerned at that phase with forming a legal business structure like an LLC, because I just wanted to test the concept and see if it would actually work. By week 3, I had several new clients scheduled for work. It was a bit scary, but also really exciting. I started doing a little more advanced advertising and the business just took off. I named it Honeydew Hero, and you can see my website at honeydewhero.net. My income from DoorDash literally quadrupled and my working time was cut in half. So I was sold. It was amazing and very freeing. Now, I was able to bust all that out quickly, as I've said, because I had so much experience doing all that kind of stuff before. But that is all the stuff that I've boiled down and put in this course here for you. But let me be a little more real with you and a little more transparent. Throughout all that story, all that backstory, I still struggled with alcohol and wanting to escape at times. It happened in Oregon, where I'd start to feel overwhelmed and then discouraged about myself. Since my divorce and experiencing so much loss, I feel at times a lot of anxiety and I get afraid, just waiting for the next shoe to drop on me like anytime. So feelings of failure were always trying to creep in and take control. Caring for a spouse or a loved one with a serious long-term illness adds to the challenges. And more times than I wish, I would check out for a few days or even an entire week. And then I hated myself for it. Eventually, I'd get back up and fight forward again, but it was always a struggle and it was hard. Here's what I want to tell you most. Since I started my handyman service business, I've been totally sober. Not one sip. And I've not even really felt tempted to do so. And it's mainly because this business has given me a new hope and a purpose about my future and myself. Even though it's just a simple handyman business, it's given me a new purpose and new feelings of success. And I don't have to stop with just that. I'm already growing it in new ways that are really exciting. And of course, I'm already cooking up new ideas and new business ideas. Now, I bet you didn't think you'd hear something like that in an online course about how to start a local service business. But as you know, the internet and social media are so full of fakeness and plastic shallowness that we need to get back to being human and real with each other again. Rebecca and I recently made a huge move, selling our tiny house and moving to East Texas. I saved up several months worth of living expenses, and we were fortunate to be able to buy a house, our first full-size house like this together. And we love it here. And yes, I showed up without a job because I knew I could start Honeydew Hero right up here and be successful. And guess what? My business is already booked out for the next 2 weeks, and I see no end in sight for it. I'm having to actually turn down work, which is exciting. Now, let me close out this class by talking about you. I hope that something in my story here is encouraging to you. If I can do it, so can you. If I want to leave you with 5 quick takeaways from my story to help you. First, never give up on yourself. Failure is part of life, and if you allow them to be, your shortcomings, your weaknesses, and your failures can work for you and mold you into who you are supposed to be. Failures don't define who you are unless you allow them to. You are 1,000,000 times more than the number in your bank account. Let your fears and failures be building blocks and life lessons to make you better. I mentioned my friend Paul in the earlier video, the fighter pilot. He wrote a book titled Work Hard, Don't Suck. Paul often says that his goal is to suck a little less today than he did yesterday. If you do give up, you need to take a step back, review all your positive qualities, find your faith in God or in yourself, pull yourself back up, and always keep fighting for yourself. If I can do it, so can you. So first, never give up on yourself. Second, know your why. I've already talked about this. I touched on it in the previous class, but you need to be clear on what or who you're fighting for. And I'll tell you right now, it's a lot more than money. Money is just a tool that gives us the ability and the freedom to do what we really want to do. So take some time, if you haven't done it yet, and really think deeply about what matters most to you. You'll need to remember that when times get tough and when setbacks smack you in the face. Know why you want this and then let it burn in your bones. Always keep moving positively forward. I was watching a survivalist show one day with starring Bear Grylls, the survival guy, and he was lost in some barren desert and his traps for food didn't work. And then he said he lives by the principle to always keep moving positively forward. Even if that motion consists of tiny baby steps, every day, do something to push yourself forward in a positive way. I printed that principle and I've taped it to my wall and it's still there. Oh, I thought it was on the fridge behind me. It's in another room, but it's on my wall right now here in Texas. Always keep moving positively forward. Fourth, take risks. If you want to find more success, you will have to take risks. If you want to start a new business, you will need to take some more risks. If you want that business to actually work and become profitable, you will need to muster some courage and take risks. Starting a new business doesn't have to be expensive, but it will require some financial investment and risk. Putting your face out there in marketing, meeting new people, new customers, quoting prices, doing the work and doing the work, for people in the world requires courage and risk. Most people play it too safe in life, and then they're haunted by the lost possibilities of what could have been had they had gone for it. Take more risks. And finally, number 5, invest in yourself. Take care of yourself. Invest time and money into you. Listen to good podcasts about self-improvement or small business or about the industry you want to go into. A couple of years ago, I totally changed my diet through an online course that I bought. I joined a gym. I started working out again. I lost 20 pounds and I felt better physically and emotionally than in a long time. Read good books, books that will build you up. Listen to audiobooks. Find or hire a coach or a mentor or a counselor or a therapist if you need that. Invest in your relationships with other people. Push yourself to be friendly and meet new people. Go back to church if that's you. The most important things in life are not things. It's God and it's the people and the quality of the relationships we choose to have with them. It's love. So invest in yourself. Well, that's it for this class. I know it was a long one. I thank you for listening to my story, and I hope you feel encouraged in some way and you're ready to do this with your business. Again, this is one of the longer class videos, but I think it's important that you know who you're listening to and taking advice from about building your business, and that I'm not just some shallow marketing schmuck looking to make a quick buck from some slick marketing campaign. In the next class, we're going to talk about a mindset shift to going from employee to business owner. I want to help you start thinking like an entrepreneur, and I'm going to give you some powerful tools to help you get to the finish line of launching a new business. I'll see you there.